We all know all these modern women are boss babes until the check hits the table. That's when they start wanting traditional men and suddenly feel the tradition creeping up on them as well. Women want what benefits them. When it doesn't benefit them, they get mad. They want the double standards when it benefits them. Women are more into playing roles instead of just being themselves. Some women want to be boss babies, and some guys want to be alphas. People get into the habit of cherry-picking points of people playing these roles until it stops working in their favor. Our culture is currently infected with yet another social contagion, an irrational, hysterical, arrogant fever of narcissism, arrogance, and false rage. Self-sufficiency is important for everyone, but that doesn't need to be taken to the extreme if you want a relationship. Partners need to be practical, respect, and understand each other. Men have their flaws, but women take their flaws to a whole new level when they demand the guy be traditional, while they remain modern and woke to the extremes where they expect the guy to basically become a servant. The problem of lack of self-awareness finds a home with women and men. As a society, we're poorly socialized. It's getting worse as our material wealth, especially in the form of electronics and all that comes with electronics, increases. Many of us expect to act out our feelings. What passes for self-awareness is little more than the ability to identify our wants. I want a man who treats me like an old-timey lady. I want a woman who behaves like an old-timey wife. As a society, we ask ourselves less and less frequently whether we merit receiving what we want. As a society, we increasingly assume that to want is to deserve. When we don't get what we want, we assign the blame to some grand, malevolent force acting against us. All men are awful. Women are terrible. I can only hope that with enough time, we will find ways of coping with social media and the changed balance of economic power between men and women that enable us to live better lives. It is very uncommon these days to meet women with the same values. It is not necessarily these women's fault. Somehow many women seem to be getting bad information about how they should behave on dates and dating in general, flipping between 1950s housewife and boss babe as the need arises like some kind of schizophrenia. As a man, you really do not know which way is up anymore. Personally speaking, I have noticed that with some modern women, if you are unapologetically traditionally masculine, they learn quickly what is or is not going on with your relationship with them, and if they are not too far gone, they usually like it. I'm not sure what it is, but I have always had great communication with people all over the place in ideas and traditions. Accept me, or don't. Doesn't really matter in the long run. It baffles me how the line between standards and preferences has become blurred or non-existent. Preferences are what we prefer, while standards are typically the norms in society. But to see members of both genders make their preferences the standards just boggle the mind. And regarding the debate about who pays the bill at the restaurant on the first date, considering that a first date is essentially designed to get to know the other person, and it can go well or badly and be long or short, there is no point in committing a lot of money to something which may very well go badly. If a girl demands a fancy meal or nothing, then she is the wrong person. If a girl likes a guy and wants to be with him, she will be with him and not expect to be bought. If these modern women think they will get the traditional treatment from men, they will be single for quite a long time because they are tired of being used and treated like human ATMs and therapists. Men are doing fine independently, living as single males and caring for themselves and their own lives. There's no doubt that there's toxic feminism in the West. It manifests itself in your divorce laws, whereby you have to keep paying your ex-wife alimony. I don't understand the rationale for maintaining a woman you're no longer sleeping with, and she's free to sleep with other men while you are paying her. Not only alimony, but also the division by half of your property, which sometimes can reach behind time and take property that was acquired before the marriage. It also manifests itself in your assault laws, whereby a woman can decide that you assaulted her after 10 or 20 years and sue you or shame you simply because you are now rich or famous. There should be a statute of limitation on how long someone can claim they were assaulted. 5 years is reasonable. If someone doesn't realize she was assaulted within 5 years of the incident, then it wasn't an assault. You can marry a fellow Western woman but don't get rich. Wealth is a divorce magnet, as the wife can cash out a big paycheck if she divorces you than if she stays with you. And if you choose to marry a non-Westerner, then don't bring her to your country. She will be influenced by the women around her and change. Go live with her in her country. It's a conundrum for Western men. Throughout their lives, men are supposed to do everything for women and literally dedicate their lives to providing for, protecting, and helping women. And you know what? Men do that with a lot of joy, and it brings them a lot of satisfaction when they know they're being the providers. It gives them a solid purpose because they know they're doing justice to what the universe meant for them to do. They do it proudly because that's in their nature. I'm talking about high-value men, not a simp who starts crying if he gets rejected by a girl. But the question is, why do women expect everything from a man, especially when all they can do now is talk about equality and how men have oppressed and controlled them? It's quite true that modern women have become too entitled. Women will try to manipulate you into buying them gifts, into being okay with them seeing other people, into moving closer to where they work, and into believing in whatever they want you to believe. There's no end to it, and it frequently succeeds with weak men. They are primarily chasing one thing, and they will put up with abuse solely for the sake of that one thing, which we all know. Thus they fall for the manipulative tactics of women, both intentionally and unknowingly. As I said, women's entitlement is unwarranted, and men really don't need to sugarcoat things for women anymore because they've clearly got the wrong idea about their role in modern society. Men need to make sure to put a woman in her place if she makes any unwarranted or untrue claim, based on her overly inflated ego and entitlement. Contrary to what some women might argue, if men actually were absolutely equal to women, more men would choose their own path and go their own way, which is not something that women are happy with either. Why do I say this? Because if men and women were actually equal, then men really would have to be competing and living with women who would have the characteristics of men. And that's not something that men like in women. That's not something that all women can be like, to be honest. What about being feminine? Is that a dying concept now? Women are more in need of men than they think because they are dissatisfied at work and are morphing into crazy, lonely cat ladies, but they won't admit it as long as it is frowned upon to do so. They will eventually notice it when our culture becomes more conservative in the ensuing decades. Women will suddenly claim to care about males in this scenario, thereby forcing men back to the negotiating table. Because the men's rights movement aims to reunite men and women in a conventional relationship, there are numerous traditions within it. Since women gain from either choice, feminists only want to present those two possibilities to men. We decide against choosing either alternative since we are aware that both are gynocentric and that neither has a chance of success. It is unwarranted for women to want the traditional treatment from men when they don't treat men in a traditional way. It's just plain hypocrisy. It's like a guy wanting a woman to become the provider of his life and his family, while not being the man himself and just lazing around all day. Do you think any woman will stay or want to be with such a man? Never. Then why do women want the man to open doors for them, pay for their lifestyles, shower them with gifts, protect them, and bring food and security to the table, while they do nothing for the man and instead expect him to keep on serving the woman for life? Thanks for watching The Circle of Kings. As always, we're looking forward to your support. So please hit the like button, share this video with your friends, and subscribe to the channel to stay updated with everything all kings like yourself need to know.